John here, guys, and today we're talking about the Armattan Gecko 4-inch.
What did I say? Gecko. I said Gecko. Oh.
DJI edition, and the whole genesis of this build project came up when I started flying these incredibly amazing BETAFPV 1805 2550 kV motors on a couple of very light 5-inches. If you remember on the channel, I had those on the Pod Racer build, and I also had those on Dave C's new 5-inch prototype. But I wanted to know, would these motors also be super powerful, super efficient, and super controllable in the air on a 4-inch? So I started thinking, is there a 4-inch freestyle that I could build up that would be very lightweight, fly excellently, and use the DJI HD system? Because this is actually my favorite freestyle quad, my Badger HD, and this has an incredible amount of power, but it also has a decent amount of weight. And if you're not going to be carrying around an action camera, are you better off with something that weighs about half as much? This thing is only 187 grams built up, and if you remember back to my Banggood 3-inch build, this actually comes in about 3 or 4 grams lighter than that. So what do you get by having a similar weight, similar build components, and yet an extra inch of prop size? You get a lot. It's really exciting flying this thing. So let's go over the build real quick. We covered the BETAFPV 1805 motors. In addition to that, I have the Mamba MK2 20x20 stack, the 25 amp version with the new FC version. Then I have the Caddx Vista camera system for HD, and then Crossfire Nano receiver. You have the special edition with the Immortal T antenna. I was going to design an Immortal T holder for the back here, but I decided, since I might be taking this one a little bit longer, to just put it on the arm. That seems to be the best practice that people do. I don't necessarily love the looks of it, but the reception to your Crossfire system is going to be the best with that. Now, you do make a little bit of sacrifices going with this versus the other one. Even that Banggood pretty much looked like you could easily attach a GoPro if you wanted to. It would be heavy, sure, but you could. This one doesn't really have the option to do that. But lately I find myself more and more often only using my DJI builds to get HD recording to my goggle DVR, and I'm not even bothering with action cameras. So if that's the case, can you lose the weight, get a little bit more confidence, worry less about crashing into something? And that's what I wanted to test with this. The flight feel of an Armattan on any size is incredible. In the first few packs that I took this up in the air, I just kept thinking to myself, oh my gosh, people that spend tons and tons and tons and tons of time tuning, have you tried a frame like this? Because just on a stock tune, all I did was click my filters once over to the right of center, pretty much left everything alone, even the rates. I'm just building this thing up, flashing it, going out on 4.2, and my goodness, it flies so well. Sure, there could always be a little bit of extra tuning, but just out of the box, man, it's amazing. I like that this top plate actually has enough room. I have plenty of room for straps in here. If you recall, I kind of squeezed a similar size system into a Tadpole 3-inch with a Nebula camera, but that really wasn't meant for it. This one, you have oodles of room. Now, of course, it is a much heavier overall build, but this really is a nice middle ground for you freestylists that want to go roaming around parks, playgrounds, the wilderness. You still want to have maximum levels of video system capability, maximum levels of receiver capability with the full-size Crossfire antenna, and pretty much no compromises when it comes to the maneuvers that you can do. This has the power to do everything aside from maybe comfortably carry an action camera. And so if I'm not going to be using a GoPro, which one do I choose when I go fly? If I was going to a new spot, which one should I fly? If I was going to a bando, which one should I fly? This comes with the battery at 600 and something grams. This one comes at so much lighter, it's like half the weight. And speaking of batteries, Speaking of batteries, this is what I'm using on here. This is a Tattoo 850 milliamp 4S. Look how small that thing is. It even just looks so much smaller on the top plate than the 6S battery that I would use on that Badger. So what do you think, guys? Is this something that could potentially come back? A lot of times we think to ourselves, well, if you have a 3-inch, you might as well go 4-inch. If you have 4-inch, you might as well have 5-inch. 5-inch, I mean, before you know it, you're flying X classes around your front yard. That's a little bit crazy. You know, if you think about what type of flying you actually do you carry an action camera? A lot of people do every time. I rarely do. So I've been searching for something like this that would give me no compromises on maneuverability, on agility, and power without the action camera. Give me that same feel, and this actually feels a little bit better. It's somewhere between this amount of performance without the action camera and with the action camera. Now this without an action camera is like blast to the moon on throttle. It's so smooth, it's so great. The other thing though, the difference of this is cost. This is a $109 frame, this is a $70 frame. These are $100 motors, these are $58 motors. This is a $90-something stack, this is a $30-something stack. Are you starting to get it here, guys? Why some people might want to build something up like this? So if you want ultimate performance, but you don't want to pay that ultimate price, that Armattan Badger build is almost $500. So if you want to get a similar amount of performance for a price point that is closer to 280, 300, 320, depending on which components you choose, this just might be something that has been forgotten during the analog days, but maybe we need to resurrect this. Now, my ultimate goal would be to get the same platform on a 5-inch to be able to fit one of those 5-inch T-mount props. Everything the same, motor stack, everything. So I've been begging Chris, please cut me a 5-inch version of this, use all the same Cajun hardware. I don't want a Marmot, I kind of want to experiment with a 5-inch Gecko. And Chris was like, that's what Armattan Productions is all about, so get to work. So I'm gonna get to work. I'm gonna see what I can come up with. I printed out kind of what I have modeled up in Fusion 360 so far. So I'm gonna have to do a test fit, and if this works, we'll see if we can get this cut and make another video of a 5-inch version of this. What do you think in the comments? Is 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch what you are looking for? Are you still carrying action cameras for FPV, or is the DJI system supplementing that HD for you? Let me know in the comments what your strategy is as far as HD footage going into 2020. Thanks, guys.